Hi everybody, Bo Bruskern, co-founder and CEO of Lendit FinTech, coming at you from Bogota, Colombia, where we've just hosted our first LATAM FinTech Roundtable, one of 6 that we'll be hosting over the next 10 days in 5 different cities. Very excited about it. It's been a smashing success already. One cannot come to Colombia without hearing the story of Rappi and the success of Rappi. Let me go back to 2013 and say that the first technology company, not even a fintech, that made it into Y Combinator was in 2013. The company's name was Glio. It was out of Brazil, and that sort of maybe broke the seal for Latin America. Now, Y Combinator, for those of you that are not aware, is probably one of the most storied and well-respected accelerators in the world. So to make it into YC was a big deal. Now, since 2013 up until today, which is 2019, there were 15 more startups that made it from Latin America that made it into Y Combinator. Okay, so a little bit of an acceleration there. Now, in the summer of 2019, just the summer batch alone, 16 Latin American startups made it into Y Combinator. So boom, mushrooming. I think this is just the front of a wave. This is just a spark. It is not a flame, but a spark, and we will see a lot more to come in the future. Now, Rappi, founded in 2015 in Bogota, Colombia, made it into YC in 2018 and has since raised over 200 million USD. It's August of 2019, so you know the future will hold what it will. But this is a stunning success for a Colombian technology company already. Now, the fast money has taken note of Latin America. Some in North America, Europe and elsewhere have woken up to the promise of South America. But I believe this is, again, just a spark, not a flame, and we will see flames in the future, and they will be bright. What matters more is not the fast money, but the lasting money. We've got to see the lasting money come in with dedicated funds that are focused on this region. And we're seeing some, but just some. Again, the capital dynamic in Latin America, as I understand it, is not robust. So that needs to be fixed, and I believe there will be outsized returns for those people that are intelligent investors that are in early. Now, Colombia does have a cultural advantage, and I would say that is warmth. Nowhere in my travels have I felt more warmly welcomed than in Colombia. And I've been to some pretty warmly welcoming places. But Colombia is just a part. Now, I think that's a strategic advantage from a B2B and business doing perspective. That warmth, that immediate sort of feeling of trust is really just it can be advantageous. Now, on the flip side, and going along with that, and this may be a myth, but what I understand from Colombians and from Colombians and from others is that Colombians have a difficult time saying no. I don't know if that's true or not, but to the degree that it is true, I would say that will erode trust. That is a problem, and any business leader must know that getting to know quickly is very important. I'll leave that there. My favorite quote of the roundtable was, "The future is dynamic." Now let me put that in context with the severe oligopoly that exists in banking in Colombia. There are 2 banks, maybe 3, that matter, that consume or that command over 90% of the banking activity in Colombia. That is a extraordinary oligopoly, and it is one that I think is probably among the most severe in the free world. So now, contrasting with that, I believe there is regulation that is being put in place that will allow for competition. To the degree that there is hospitable regulation, there is capital that is ready to be invested, and the entrepreneurs that are willing to risk their careers to advance their causes. You know, any defense of the crumbling walls of the status quo will be a failure in a future that is that dynamic. So yes, I believe the future is dynamic. Yes, I believe the Colombians will find a hospitable regulatory future, and the entrepreneurs will heed that call. That is the extent of my takeaways from this, which is just my very first visit to Colombia, and certainly not my last. I very much look forward to returning again and passing on my learnings to you in the future. Until next time, keep up the hard work and take care.